age of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before.
Join the radio man, Edmond Obilo, on State Affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo. Radio just got deeper. State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
Welcome to another package of State Affairs coming to you from State Affairs Studio here in Ibadan, broadcasting to the world. I am Edmond Obilo. Deep thinkers, who are they? What do they bring to the values of nations? Deep thinkers are also visionary leaders for the change, the causes of their nations. They are deep thinkers. When a land is not governed by deep thinkers, poverty, violence, and election rigging becomes the order of the day. The hope of a future of prosperity hinged on the leadership produced by such a system crashes as fast as ice melts under the scorching sun. The output of a leadership of brigands is brigandage. Garbage in, garbage out. Neo Shundari, in his poem Incompetence Words Corruption, asked, "Did you really wonder why so much power should be thrust upon those with so little sense?" Any society aiming at prosperity must be governed by deep-thinking men and women. These are persons who have attained a reasoning power beyond the prejudices instilled in them by culture and by the historical period they live in. Deep thinkers are disruptors of the old order. They are innovative. They inspire. Let's think deep to build a great nation. Was Bola Ige not a deep thinker? I welcome you to the story of Bola Ige. Bola Ige was a visionary leader. In February this year, I visited the home of the Iges. I wanted to know how Bola Ige lived his life. His daughter, Funsho, and his son, Muiwa, tells me about a man that was a great thinker. Your father was a great thinker.
Yes, he was.
Reading some of his work, it is clear that he thought deeply about issues.
Yes.
You know, what kind of environment provided him that opportunity for deep thinking?
My dad was very, very clever. He was a university scholar when he was in University College Ibadan, where he studied Latin and Greek classics before he studied law at University College London. So my dad has always loved intellectual things, talking about deep things. And I remember growing up as a child, my mom was a lawyer, so both of them were great intellectuals and great thinkers. And at home, on the dining table, we used to discuss issues. He would tell us what was going on in the country. And we were very much aware of the world around us, the world as it was around us as children, as a family. And my father always believed, and he acted it in his life, that your family is your first constituency. And so he took that constituency very, very seriously. And he was very intentional and deliberate in our parenting.
Was it a house of books?
A house of books, a lot of books. He had books in the study, books in the living room, and then in his chambers he had books. He was always reading, and he was always writing. And he encouraged me. I remember as a 5-year-old, he gave me a journal, a diary with a padlock. He always encouraged me to write, even as a child.
A diary with a padlock. Mr. Bola Ige, what did he give to you?
Well, there's a book that I'll forever cherish. The title is The Master Key. And he said that Obafemi Awolowo gave him a copy of it in 1962. And basically, it's a book with 24 chapters that strengthens one's spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically. And so that's a very special book, over and beyond other books. Every time he travels, he buys books for everybody that he knows and gives them copies. Even the Master Key, that's a rare collection, and I think you should get a copy as well. He must have bought about 10 copies then and gave it out to certain people that he wanted to pass it on to. He was well grounded in the classics and in logical thinking, and he had a lot of wonderful people around him. They debated issues. One of the things I would like to raise is the fact that when he was governor, he had what I'll describe as an inner and outer cabinet of deep thinkers. People like Wale Soyinka, Muyiwa Aigi Imokwede, Pius Olehe, and a host of other people, Professor Mabuguje. So they formed like a caucus of deep thinkers that would analyze governance outside the basic political appointees and civil servants in order to govern and drive the policies for which they had given their word and had a covenant with the people. So he was a great man. He was a great man.
Whenever I sit down and I look at the people taking up space and positions of power in this country, I cannot even begin to, maybe Yemi Osinbajo, begin to liken them to anything like my dad. My dad was always reading. In his car, there will be a book. By his bedside, there's a book. So
the best gift you can, if you travel.
If you travel.
If you
know my dad, you know that.
You know, yeah,
like your book, he
gave
me
books.
after.
Oh yeah.
Books. Just give my father a book. We grew
and
up.
then he will travel. He'll buy books for everybody.
Everybody. My father is the one father that I know.
If he knows your children, he'll bring them a book.
He will remember their birthdays.
And he'll read this book. And now,
then you write an essay.
There's this book, Awo. He read it. And he had written in pencil, different things, questions. And I said, Daddy, all these pencils. He said, I had to interrogate because I needed to understand the essence of the man. Papa, Kilo Shalembi, what were you thinking? How did you deal with this? You know? And so he loved to interrogate for greater understanding. Most people nowadays are lazy. They just go along with the Joneses.
Exactly.
And so he was very deep, and only the deep can call on the deep.
Yes.
Sorry, it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. So that's why, really and truly, I really don't have the stomach for most of the people in power today, because I can't relate to them cerebrally. I can't learn anything from them.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
That was a February discussion with Funsho Adegbola, Neige, and Muyiwa Ige talking about their dad. In this program, it is about a deep story into the life of a man who made a difference. His life was tragically cut down. This program is about history. It's about politics. It's about power. The reason we created this studio, to dedicate enough time to the dissection of subjects, events, and persons that made or make or are making history. My guest is Chief Lakan Alabi. You will hear his voice soon. I want us to read a book. This book is entitled Bisi Akonde, My Participation. Bisi Akonde, My Participation. You see this book? Bisi Akonde at some point became the deputy governor of Oyo State under Bola Ige. He would later become the governor of Oyo State. In his autobiography, he wrote a lot on Ige. Chapter 25 of the book is titled Death of Bola Ige. It's a book I would like you to have. I want to read from chapter 25. Bisi Akonde says, on the evening of December 23rd, 2001, I returned from a trip to the United Kingdom. I was met at the Murtala International Airport by a team of top officials from Osun State, including my Attorney General, Dr. Yemi Adedeji, and Shola Akinwumi, the SSG. I drove in my car with Akinwumi and we headed for Osogbo. We took the old road from Ibadan, passing Iwo to Osogbo. We had passed Iwo and getting close to Osogbo when Akinwumi's phone rang. Muyiwa Ige was on the other end. Akinwumi was just shouting, "Ah, ah, ah." Then the line went off. Uncle Bola has been killed. Akinwumi announced flatly when he finally gathered himself. I was shocked. I did not know what to do. For the second time in my life, I had suddenly become an orphan again. I'm reading from Chief Bisi Akonde's book entitled My Participation. Akonde continues, Ige was more than a political mentor to me. He was my uncle, my friend, my confidant. His loyalty was total and his love was deep and profound. For me, he was irreplaceable. When we arrived at the government house, I gathered my entourage together and broke the tragic news to them. There was an uproar, groaning and mourning, and general confusion. Someone suggested we should pray. We bowed down our heads and prayed. By the time the prayer ended, I noticed that the Commissioner of Police was now with us. He had walked into the center gingerly and was now standing close to me. Before we greeted, his phone started ringing. He gave me the phone. It was President Obasanjo on the other end. Baba Bisi Akonde is telling a story in his book, his autobiography entitled My Participation. He is quoting the president. Now, you see the lapses in your security? Look at what happened to Bola Ige. The president was shouting at the other end. I was enraged at him. You must be out of your mind, Mr. President. How can you say lapses in my security when Bola Ige was killed in Ibadan? I rule in Osun State. I'm not the governor of Oyo State. When his cap was removed at the Ife Palace during your wife's chieftaincy ceremony, what did you do about it? You can see the argument between Bisi Akonde and Olusegun Obasanjo on the phone. You see the importance of reading the stories of men, men of time, men involved in the events, some sad events, some progressive events. Are you with me as I read from Chief Bisi Akonde's book? Chief Lakan Alabi is the guest on the show. He has a story to tell. Chief Lakan Alabi was a press secretary to Bola Ige. Beyond that, Lakan Alabi is a renowned journalist. I'm laying the groundwork. Are you with the radio, man? It is the story of pain. It is the story of wisdom. And it's the story of progress. It's the story of deep thinking. I'm now on page 350 of the book. So Bisi Akonde says, Obasanjo caught the line. I gave the CP back his phone. Everyone was silent, except those who were weeping silently. Few minutes later, Obasanjo called back on my own line. He started sermonizing. You know that Bola Ige too was my friend. What happened was very unfortunate. It occurred to me that what concerned the president more was not to arrest the assassins of his friend, but to prevent social unrest and calm the nerves of the populace. I told Obasanjo we would take all necessary measures to prevent a breakdown of law and order. I sent messages to traditional rulers and other leaders that night so that they would know we were all bereaved. It was an airy night and nobody thought of sleep. By 5 a.m., dawn crept on us and I got the report that armed soldiers were in every major town of Oyo State. That morning, I drove to Ibadan to meet the widow, Justice Atinuke Ige, who stood with her husband throughout his colorful, turbulent, and rewarding public career. She was a formidable woman in her own right, who had risen to become a judge of the Court of Appeal. Few years earlier, they lost their first son in mysterious circumstances. Now, this, she was in shock. I also commiserated with Olufunsho and Muyiwa, Uncle Bola's two surviving children. I started the show with their voices. You heard their story of their dad. If you are just joining the broadcast, I'm reading from the book, My Participation, an autobiography, written by B.C. Akonde, former Governor of Oyo State, a Bola Ige's man. The foreword of the book was written by Professor Wole Soyinka. Let's read more. Don't forget, State Affairs is a class of history, politics, and power. And books are crucial to what we do here. So if you are interested in getting a copy of the book I'm reading, you can order a copy from the WhatsApp numbers pinned to this broadcast. The numbers are pinned to this broadcast. You can also go on udarabooks.com and get a copy of this book. Bola Ige wrote some books before his death. I will introduce you to those books. This is a comprehensive analysis of the Bola Ige story, and this is just the first of the analysis coming from this studio. More analysis will come. What lessons are we to take away from the rise, from the visionary leadership of Bola Ige? What lessons are we to take from the brutal murder of the Attorney General of the Federation under Olusegun Obasanjo? This book is quite revealing. I might not be able to read all the chapters, so I will advise you to get a copy of the book. He said, now, she was in shock. That is Bola Ige's wife, Atinuke. I also commiserated with Olufunsho and Muyiwa, Uncle Bola's two surviving children. Then I went to Governor Lam Adesina's official residence at Agodi. We discussed the events of the last 24 hours of Chief Ige's life. He had arrived from Abuja in the morning and headed for his brother's house in Lagos. Uncle George Ige was a retired federal permanent secretary. He was ill, and his junior brother insisted that he must go to the hospital, and he accompanied him back to Ibadan. So Bola Ige left his brother in the hospital and headed home. As was his custom, Ige was preparing to spend the Christmas with his people in Esaoke, where he held the traditional title of Asiwaju leader. He would normally hold a feast on Boxing Day, December 26, and all of us, his friends, would join him to celebrate. That day would be an open house, and all members of the Esaoke community would troop to Ige's expansive compound. So by the time Ige entered Ibadan, preparation for Christmas at Esaoke was in top gear. Most of his personal staff, especially those in the kitchen, had moved to Esaoke to await his arrival. Instead of going to Esaoke, Uncle Bola decided to spend the night in Ibadan. He went to his junior brother, Sadele Ige, to have a dinner and then retired home. Are you following this story? Funsho Adegbola and Muyiwa Ige had told me a story of how their dad was assassinated that day. I will be releasing that podcast soon. And if you heard the story, you would have a deeper analysis of the quest for power. What has politics become? But in this book, Bisi Akonde is telling his own story. Muyiwa Ige was there when the assassins came in. So Muyiwa Ige was an eyewitness. You will hear his story someday. And I look forward to bringing Muyiwa Ige and Funsho Adegbola to this studio to broaden the narrative that they gave at some point. Let's read on. Bisi Akonde says, as soon as Bola Ige got home, his security details and personal staff, learning that they would not be traveling to Esaoke again, went out to look for dinner at a nearby restaurant as soon as they dropped their balls. Shortly after they left, some gunmen invaded Ige's residence. The house was at the end of the street. Behind it was a swamp of undeveloped bush, which terminated in a dead end. They overpowered the only gateman who had been working with Uncle Bola before he took up the ministerial appointment with Obasanjo and marched him upstairs. All the doors were opened, and they soon accosted their quarrel in his bedroom. There, they shot him and fled. His wife, who was with him, was locked up in the toilet. Muyiwa came in shortly and discovered the horror. It is the story of Bola Ige on State Affairs. Let me bring you another part of the interview with Funsho Adegbola Ige and Muyiwa Ige. Who were Bola Ige's friends? What was his company like? After this story from the children of Ige, you will hear from Chief Lakan Alabi, Maye Olubadan, of Ibadanland. The program is State Affairs.
He used to write a weekly column in Tribune
Yeah.
called Uncle Bola's column.
What did music do to him?
In fact, my father was a muse in his own right. He was a creative. He himself wrote poetry. He loved music. He used to sing Azim Zim Zo, all these songs from like Soweto, from Kenya, all these Jomo Kenyatta freedom fighting songs. Music, and whenever in the house, we always have music on. I mean, when we had LPs from the days of Jim Reeves to
ABBA.
Diana Ross to ABBA to Michael Jackson and then he now went to
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, so my father was very eclectic in his taste for everything, for the arts. He had a lot of sculptures, paintings. He loved poetry. He loved music. He would always have. He did not like noise. So he didn't like music where people just beating the drum for beating's sake. He liked lyrics, that were meaningful, things that had social critique, things that had social engineering, patriotism, nationalism. He
was a lover of the arts.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot speak about Bola Ige without also mentioning two interesting people: Wole Soyinka,
exactly.
Femi Johnson.
And Femi Johnson, yes.
Ibadan Mask. So he was basically the closet artist, really.
Yes.
But anything to do with the arts, anything relating to my godfather Wole Soyinka and Uncle Femi Johnson, the late Femi Johnson, they were the three musketeers relating to the arts.
What was the relationship with Soyinka like?
Brilliant. He was older, but he
my dad was older than
they were at the university college together, but my dad was 4 years ahead of him. But he took a liking to these young, energetic nonconformists.
Yes.
Even at the time when they set up the pirate confraternity, they were the nonconformists.
They had the Orisun Theatre. Uncle Wole would write. My dad and Femi Johnson would act in the plays. And then Christmas parties, they would dress up as Father Christmas and give us Christmas gifts. In the end, Femi Johnson, my father's chambers, Bola Ige and co, were the lawyers to Femi Johnson and co. Uncle Wole Soyinka is my brother's godfather. So,
The Femi Johnson house?
Yes, the Femi Johnson house of
if you go
Broken
there,
House Insurance.
My father opened that building in 1981.
As Governor of Oyo State?
Yes, as Governor of Oyo State.
Those were my dad's friends, but they were friends before my dad became governor. From when they were in their 20s, their 30s, they grew up together. Segi Restaurant was named after a poem that Uncle Wole had written. Orisun Theatre, Bode Showande, Uncle Jimmy Sholanke, Tunji Oyelano, Uncle Bayo Oduneye that was in theatre arts.
Bayo Akinola too.
Uncle Bayo Akinola that was.
He was younger, but he had gone to Ibadan Grammar School.
So my dad had known him.
And my dad was head boy.
So there was a lot of theatre life in our growing years, and I remember watching Ogunde, watching Duro Ladipo at Obisheson Hall. My dad would take us. I watched Shango, done by Duro Ladipo in Obisheson Hall. Obakoso. Sorry, Obakoso in Obisheson Hall. We used to go to the theatre in UI. City chorals. We used to do. If there was a symphony, that music departments in UI were doing, because he took part in all those kind of things when he was in the university. So he was a part, and it was for him. He was the editor of the Bug magazine in UI, and they used to talk about other people, and they would make fun of themselves and everything. And I remember Professor Mabugunje, who was his best man and who's my godfather. They met first as teenagers in Ibadan Grammar School. Both of them then went to University of Ibadan, and then they went to University College London.
Ibadan.
University College Ibadan. And then they went to University College London after University College Ibadan. Those were the kind of people that I grew up with. Justice Mabugunje, Professor Mabugunje's wife too, was a lawyer. My mother was a lawyer. So those were the kind of people that we grew up with.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
The program is State Affairs, coming from the studio of history, politics, and power. Chief Lakan Alabi is here. Chief Lakan Alabi Maye, Olubadan of Ibadanland. He was Bola Ige's press secretary in 1983. Bola Ige was the governor of Oyo State from 1979 to 1983. Hi, Chief Lakan Alabi. It's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you very much. And Bond, thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to come here. But in our pre-talk, before you now put me on air, I asked you, why are you featuring Chief Bola Ige today, November 13, 2023? And your answer was, is going to be a series on Chief Bola Ige of blessed memory. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Because the nearest clue I had when you invited me was September 13. Could that be what Edmond meant? This is November 13. Now you have explained to me it's going to be a series.
Yes.
I thank you.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
And, you know, I appreciate your sense of history,
Thank you.
your sense of record.
Thank you.
You have taught me the beauty of journalism. You know, your WhatsApp message,
Yes.
your WhatsApp messages are loaded with stories, pictures, events, and men.
Thank you.
And you have spent 50 years as a journalist.
Yes. Last month, October 73, I was employed by the defunct Sketch Publishing Company Limited as a reporter, writer, reader. After the then statutory period of 3 months, January 1, 1974, I was confirmed by Sketch Publishing Company Limited and issued with a staff identity card. So you are right. This year is my 50th year as a journalist, writer, and reporter.
So what would you say your journey has been like as a journalist?
Thank you very much. The city people, the nation came to interview me some 20 years ago. And what I told them, my answer to them, this question you asked me, was journalism has taken me far, far beyond my dreams. Far beyond my dreams. Because I can remember entering the Obadebimpe Road, Dubai, office of Sketch in 1973, and asking a gentleman whom I first saw in that premises, is late now, may so rest in peace, Mr. Dele Ogumodede, who later became my pilot, if I may use that word, in Sketch and in journalism. He said, yes, can I help you? I said, yes, sir, please. I'm looking for the administration office. He said, what do you want to do there? I said, I have a letter here. He said, which letter? I said, letter of employment. And I've come to assume duty. He said, he put his hand on his hand on his head. He said, yeah, pa. You look too good to go to prison. Prison? Then I said, excuse me, sir, please, I'm not asking you for direction to a cell, because this is not a prison. I won't go to prison. I've come to assume duty as reporter, writer, reader. Then he pointed to me. That's the admin block. After you finish there, come and see me. So I went to the newsroom to ask of him. He sat me down, took me to the canteen, and said, when he said, you are too good to go to prison, he said he wanted to test my psychological competence. Will I be shocked to hear prison? He said because prison is a playground for journalists. And that he was only testing my nerve. He's dead now. May so rest in peace. I've enjoyed my bit. People will say they strayed into a profession. They will say they took it as a contempt. No. I went to journalism by design. Because my father, Pa Abraham Oladoshu Alabi, alias Right Time, was a junior staff of Daily Times Lagos under the British. And when they posted Alaji Babatunde Jose to Western Region as the regional editor, because my father was from Ibadan, he followed Jose to Ibadan. And when Jose was again transferred out, and Chief Omowale Name, Laban Name, a Cameroonian who naturalized as Nigerian, came to replace Jose. He retained my dad, moved my dad up in status by making him a sales rep driver who was supplying Sunday Times to Cameroon weekly by road. So my dad had always been talking about Daily Times, Babatunde Jose, Alaji Adetani, Alaji Alade Odunewu, great writers of that era.
So you didn't stumble into
journalism? No, I didn't stray into journalism.
You wanted it.
Deliberate.
So 10 years after you came in, you became the press secretary to Bola Ige.
No. 73 years.
Yes.
I was sketch to NTA to Television Service of Oyo State. I was the first reporter to appear on TSOS, the one they call BSOS TV now.
The one that was founded by Bola Ige.
Yeah, with Dr. Yemi Farumbi as the consultant. It was Dr. Farumbi's board that employed me and some of my colleagues.
Now, let's start from there. What was it like at that television station established by Bola Ige?
Thank you very much. Chief Bola Ige, the brain box. Chief Bola Ige, the Kikero of Esauke, as he was dubbed by Dr. Yemi Ogunbiyi. Bola Ige, the writer, the connoisseur, and everything that has to do with creativity, was shunned by NTA Ibadan. He and his party, UPN, as Lateef Jakonde, his colleague in Lagos, was shunned by NTA. So
why were they shunned?
The NTA refused to grant them audience because the NTA was, pardon my language, was a pawn in the hand of MPN Shehu Shagari government.
The federal government.
Yes, pawn, PAWN. So, Lateef, it was Lateef Jakonde of Lagos who first thought of establishing a state television, LTV8, which he did, followed by BC Onabanjo, UPN of Ogun State, and the Bola Ige, UPN of Oyo State. Old Oyo State. When we say Bola Ige of Oyo State, Bola Ige for Old Oyo State, that today consists of Oyo and Osun states.
So when the television was founded, it was now the mouthpiece of the UPN in the old Oyo State.
God bless you for that. So, experiencing what you can call discrimination from NTA, the unwritten law of TSOS was open door to all shades of opinion.
All shades?
All shades, because Bola Ige, a metro international man. So he told Dr. Yemi Farumbi that all shades of opinion, political, religious, social, should be entertained by TSOS. No discrimination of any form or in any form.
So how did the federal government receive TSOS at the time?
They saw it as a challenge. Great challenge. One, in professionalism, because all the people recruited by the Farumbi board to TSOS were qualified to work anywhere in the world. All of us.
And many of them came from MTA?
I came from NTA Ibadan.
Yes.
80% of us left NTA Ibadan for TSOS.
Why?
We were in a house of, I don't want to say the house of terror, because I was then the chairman of NTA Ibadan Chapel of the NUJ. We got another, the GM got another from Lagos, from Special Assistant to Shagari, Chief Adebanjo, that NTA crew should stop coming to cover the 2.8 billion so-called missing oil money under Muhammadu Buhari as Federal Commissioner for Petroleum. It was being investigated by the civilians. Late Dr. Olushola Saraki was heading the committee probing the missing 2.8 billion naira oil money, 1979. And you should trust us. NTA Ibadan was an offshoot of WNTV, WNBS, First Television in Africa, where professionalism was the foundation. You dare not look at anyone under the color of religion, politics, or whatever. So they now said we should stop coming to Lagos, Tafawa Balewa Square.
Where did that order come from?
Olubadan, special assistant to Shagari.
Why? Why did he give the order?
If he's still alive, that question will be better answered by him.
So at that point, many of you were disgruntled.
So we now went. That's why the memo. We still went to cover. But the time we went, we took a colleague's car or marked car to Tafawa Balewa Square. They were waiting for the logo on the car in Lagos. Soldiers and armed policemen. We got in, of course, they didn't know. The cameraman, professionals, sat in the owner's corner. The reporter sat beside the driver. And they were filming. So the reporter got down, like any other person would get down, climbed the stairs, entered the hall. The cameraman was still filming. So when the reporter now entered the hall where they were doing the probe, like a journalist, newspaperman, he wrote his report. Came out. As he was coming out again, the cameraman was on him. And he came down, left Lagos to meet the 7:30 p.m. news, views and reports in Ibadan. So it looked like the reporter was in Lagos officially. That confused Lagos. What did they do? They transferred Dr. Farombi from Ibadan to go and establish a so-called NTV Akure.
Was that a punishment, a sort of punishment for
That
him?
was it. They transferred him out to go and establish NTV Akure with a porter cabin on a ground field. And then we got word from Lagos that they said, since they have removed your GM, all of you are now up for sale. Sale, quote and unquote.
And Bola Ige was watching.
Bola Ige was watching.
And calculating.
That
led to the birth of TSOL.
Typical of Uncle Bola. He was reading every body language and everything. So what did we do? We now took NTA Lagos, NTA Ibadan, and the federal government to court.
And you were ordered to withdraw the case, were you not?
No, well, they made attempts, threats and all that. What do you call it? If you want to shut somebody's mouth, whatever. We refused. And who sat on that case? The Chief Judge of Oyo State, late Honorable Justice Fakayode. He sat on that case. And on the day he was giving judgment, he said, I love you, reporters. I love you, NTA. I love all of you. Some of you I know personally. But now I'm going to liken you to a driver of a rich man. He said the rich man called the driver one day and said, yeah, wash that particular car. Go and buy fuel. We are traveling. He said, so when the driver washed the car, bought the vehicle, and bought fuel, went to report to Ogakwe, yes, I'm ready, sir. So the man entered his vehicle and told the driver, oh yeah, let's go. When you get to the roundabout, turn right. The driver refused. The owner said, hey, are you listening to me? I said turn right, you turn left. Oh yeah, go back. Again, when they got to the point, the driver refused the order of the owner. So Justice Emmanuel, may so rest in peace. Fakayode now said, if you were the owner of the car, what will you do? He said the owner told the driver, park. Give me the key of my car. He said that is what NTA is telling us. Giving us directives and we are turning deaf ears to it. But instead of finding us, because he liked us, and this thing will be in history, today we are telling the history of 1980, 81.
Yes.
This is 2023. He said, I'm not going to find you much money. I will find you just 100 naira. So, if you like, go and report to the authority NTA. That was when everybody started jumping out of the ship. Bola Ige, my beloved Oga and mentor, had set up a board under Dr. Farumbi to recruit, set up the administration, everything of TSOS. That's how we went.
At TSOS, would you agree that that was Bola Ige's construction of ideal media in the interest of the progressives?
Thank you very much. Let me say this of Bola Ige. Bola Ige was a student of Obafemi Awolowo. Obafemi Awolowo was a role model of Bola Ige to the point that they both belong to the religion of the ancient days called Rosicrucian Order.
So he was a member of the Rosicrucian
Both
Order.
men were members of the Rosicrucian Order. Obafemi Awolowo left it in his will that the Rosicrucian Order must attend his burial, and they gave him a role. So Bola Ige was a student of Obafemi Awolowo. What Awolowo did in politics, little wonder he read law. Whatever Awolowo did in social development, Bola Ige followed the path. So, like Awolowo founded Africa's first television station, WNTV, WNBS, Bola Ige founded TSOS.
You just raised the point. I will come back to TSOS. But you just raised the point, the Rosicrucian Order.
Yes.
You know, some have denied that he was not a member.
Who? Who was not?
That Bola Ige was not a member.
He was. My name is Lakan Alabi. He was. Obafemi Awolowo was.
Now, you are confirming this. I want to read from in Bode Showande's 2003 tribute entitled The Rose and the Cross. He describes Bola Ige. I'm confirming what you're saying. That soon, our conversation drifted to spiritual issues and finally zeroed in on the Rosicrucian Order. We were both freighters of the Rosicruces, and I knew that a few weeks back he had made a very handsome financial donation to the order in Ibadan. Of particular interest to him was the Christian Kabbalah, a practice I lived by, and I invited him to visit the Atrium group that I was currently leading in Ibadan. Little did I know that this would be our final conversation together. So you are confirming, like Bode Showande confirmed here, that he was a member of the Rosicrucian Order.
With all modesty at my command, with all modesty, those who were really close to Chief Bola Ige will tell you that àwọn ọmọ nǹkan tí Lakan Alabi gbéjẹ fún Uncle Bola o, because it transcended being a press secretary, being a mentee. Uncle Bola tried all his best to draft me into politics. I'm not being modest. For those who know, so I will cite Dr. Yomi Farumbi in this instance.
Okay.
People were wondering, Lakan, ṣé Ìjẹ̀ṣà ni màmá ẹ ni? Kí ló dé? Kan tó sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ, àbí nǹkan tó máa progress. Uncle Bola will say, Lakan Alabi must be invited. Lakan Alabi must be Abba. Because till we are doing this interview today, I don't know. Bí Yorùbá ṣe máa ń wí, I don't know nǹkan tí mo gbé jẹ fún Uncle Bola o. He loved me. He was ready to show me the way to greatness, particularly in politics. So, anything that I say about Chief Bola Ige, please, the whole world that you are listening to me now, please take it as the truth.
Awolowo was a member of the Rosicrucian Order.
Awolowo was a member of the Rosicrucian Order, yes.
And Bola Ige was a member.
But Chief Bola Ige was.
And you said Bola Ige was a student of Awolowo.
Bola Ige was a student of Obafemi Awolowo.
What is the uniqueness? How would you place both men?
Thank you. So I will now use a word of Professor Wole Soyinka, a bosom friend of Chief Bola Ige, at the what do they call it now? The public service we did for Chief Bola Ige at Liberty Stadium, January 1984. I was the chairman of the subcommittee, protocol and publicity subcommittee of the larger body that took care of the funeral of Chief Bola Ige. So Professor Wole Soyinka spoke in his tribute. He spoke at Liberty Stadium, now called Obafemi Awolowo Stadium. And Professor Soyinka broke the ice that day when he started by saying, the killers of Bola Ige are here with us.
That was in January 2002.
Yeah, thank you. 2002. Yes.
Good.
The stadium fell silent.
The killers were there.
He said, the killers of Bola Ige are here with us.
And you believed him?
A professor. Not only a professor, Africa's first Nobel laureate. He will never lie.
We will come to that.
So I want to use the word he now used. He said Bola Ige was ekunemica.
Meaning?
Meaning what it means.
Now,
spiritual.
Yes.
Like him.
He was a deep thinker, right?
Like him.
Like him.
Like Soyinka, his friend. Like Obafemi Awolowo, their leader, our father.
So are you saying Soyinka is a member of the Rosicrucian Order too?
No. I said ecumenica was a word.
Spiritual.
that Soyinka used for his friend.
But to be a member of the Rosicrucian Order is not negative, right?
I wouldn't know. Because by the time Rosicrucian Order was reigning all over the world and Nigeria, everything I knew about Rosicrucian Order was in the form magazines, their advertisement. It was regular.
It's not secret.
No. I don't think it's a secret body because they advertised in popular weeklies and magazines all over the world.
It's not a secret court.
And I will read it. The thing I find funny or find sacrosanct till today is that we are in tandem with the ancient religion. That's the furthest I can go about Rosicrucian Order. I'm not a member. I was never a member. But I love their theme that they were in tandem with the old ancient religion.
Coming back to TSOS. TSOS, according to the MPN, in Oyo State at the time, became the opposition's, the ruling party's voice. So when Bola Ige was defeated in the 1983 elections and Omololu Olunloyo was elected, one of the first things he did was to pick up the knife and begin to deal with some of the reporters in TSOS. Can you remember that?
1983 to now, I think it's about 40 years. Yes? 83. We're in 2023.
30 years.
Oh, 30 years.
Yes.
30 years after the action of Dr. Victor Omololu Olunloyo, I stand by him.
You stand by him?
Yes.
In why?
Because some of those who were knifed, if that's the word, or dealt with at TSOS, put their head for the gallows.
How do you mean?
They acted beyond professionalism.
But they were defending Bola Ige.
But Bola Ige didn't ask anyone to defend him.
They wanted Bola Ige to return.
It is the typical so-called Ojuaye that people do. Ojuaye, crying more than the bereaved. Bola Ige did not give anybody a script to go and defend him or his government. The unwritten law he gave was that TSOS must be different from NTA in professionalism. Let every shade of opinion, religious, political, social, be aired, be fair to all.
So let's begin to veer into Bola Ige's politics. Now, I want us to listen to Omololu Oluloyo, a former governor of Oyo State.
Old Oyo State.
Old
Edmund,
Oyo State.
Thank you. Thank
Omololu Oluloyo defeated Bola Ige in the 1983 governorship election.
According to FEDECO.
According to FEDECO.
Thank you.
I want to know whether you agree with FEDECO at some point.
Thank you.
So let's listen to Omololu Oluloyo.
You wanted to be a governor in 2003 again.
But that was a joke.
Was it a joke?
It was a joke, more or less, because I in fact work for some other younger men, like Adewusi, not only Adewusi and Ajimabi. I took Ajimabi once to Akinjide to introduce him to Akinjide.
As a member of the PDP?
No, as a member of the PDP, but as a man worthy of making a governor.
When was that?
Oh, that is some 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years. And Akinjide interviewed him. Who brought him to my house in the first instance? Busari Adebisi, who was my commissioner for education. And we know his father, we know his pedigree. And we still believe that is gubernatorial material. Wow. I used to crack a joke with Lam. I said, one of the ways in which Bola Ige did himself in Ibadan, bless his soul, was I said Ibadan could not produce gubernatorial material. They didn't have gubernatorial material.
He said that?
Yes, he's alleged to have said that.
But nobody heard it from him directly.
They heard it from him directly.
And Ibadan became angry. So I asked Lam, but you are a gubernatorial material. He said, no, my boss said so, something. So when Lam then became a governor, I said, now, Lam, you have become a governor. So how come you are an Ibadan man? Not only that, you are the only Ibadan man. By the time he ended his tenure, you are the only Ibadan man who has had a full tenure the entire 4 years. So how could Bola have been right to say Ibadan has no candidate when Ibadan had you?
Anybody.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
That's Omololu Oluloyo, a former governor of Oyo State. Femi Labi says 1983 is 40 years ago. Yes, Femi Labi, thank you for that correction.
Thank you.
So it's 40 years ago.
40 years ago.
Not 30 years ago.
No, 40.
Yes, 40. You heard Omololu Oluloyo there.
Yes, I heard him.
Bola Ige's offense against Ibadan. At what point did you become the press secretary?
Thank you very much. February 1983.
Why at that time?
Because
it was close to the election.
Yes, because they said Chief Bola Ige. It's not they said. Chief Bola Ige had run into a stormy weather with Ibadan people.
How?
They said, like Dr. Leo mentioned in the interview now, allegedly that Uncle Bola said no Ibadan man is fit to be governor. That the best Ibadan man could do was to be a taxi driver or a butcher.
Did he say that?
He denied. So when I was employed and I became his press secretary in charge of television matters, the original press secretary of Uncle Bola, Chief Bola Ige, Governor Bola Ige, was Dapo Aderinola, perhaps Africa's best reporter. Dapo was the original press secretary.
So you were brought in as an Ibadan man?
I was seconded from TSOS, yeah.
As an Ibadan man?
As an Ibadan man to, what's the word now? To water down the allegation that Bola Ige said the best Ibadan people could do would be butcher and taxi driver.
So were you able to water down that allegation? Yes,
I did. To my best, Femi Mapaderun is now the head of IBR, Independent Business Radio.
Yes.
Is a living witness. Because when we were employed, let me use the word, seconded from TSOSI, Femi from OYO to Uncle Bola. So how can I work with somebody I don't know his ideology, philosophy, and co? So we asked, sir, Excellency, can we have some private moments with you, sir? He said, yes. So we sat down, Femi and I, with Bola Ige of blessed memory. Sir, please, it's a great honor to be asked to come and work with you. More so somebody who has been an hero from secondary school. Sir, is it true you said the best Ibadan could do is butchering and taxi driving? And he answered, Lakan, sir, will you believe such? I am married to an illustrious daughter of an illustrious Ibadan family, a local family. You know that, your auntie? Yes, sir. I was senior prefect Ibadan Grammar School under Baba Layonde, and I made my name, and I'm still making my name from Ibadan. Do you think I will ever deride Ibadan? I never said so. That was his word.
But that story never died down.
Good stories in Africa or Nigerians die down early. It's the bad ones that will linger. I am alive to say now that Uncle Bola denied ever saying that the best Ibadan could do was taxi driver àti ẹran.
And Ibadan was up in arm.
They said it to his face and behind him like, Bola Ige bo fo ko kunle all loni that he must leave government house.
And he left government house.
He was made to. Because we won the election of 1983. I was not only a press secretary to Bola Ige, I was his trusted aide. And he gave me an assignment to monitor UI campus and UI Agbowo polling booths.
So you were saying on your authority that the 1983 election was rigged.
Not only in Oyo State, in other parts of Nigeria and federal level. Obafemi Awolowo was rigged out 1983. What late Umaru Diko described as a moonslide. The military brought sanity on January 1, 1984. When I say military, I'm talking of Major General Muhammadu Buhari and the late Major General Babatunde Idiagbon. They took over.
Ondo was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Ondo. Dare Babarinsa will be the best to describe it to you. You know, he wrote a book on it. Lives were lost. Precious lives. Property destroyed. Old Ondo State, Nigeria should never ever go near what they call election rigging. I've been reading the weekend stories about ballot snatching and I said, but maybe
nothing has changed. It's even getting worse. Election rigging every day.
Because you are in a country where everybody will say, Uncle Bola once he had a column, weekly column in Sunday Tribune. He once wrote that Nigeria was worth dying for. Later he recanted and said Nigeria is not worth dying for. See what they did to him. Nigeria is a country whereby if you are honest and sincere to God and your mind, it is the people who tell you,
Let's go back to 1983, 1982. There was one at Lakan. You remember him?
That's my uncle.
He was a commissioner in Bola Ige's cabinet.
Commissioner Meji, Ministries Meji. He was first commissioner for local government and local government clinical affairs. Later, when the war in quotes between him and Uncle Bola, they put him now in one establishment, commissioner for establishment.
What was the cause of the war?
Because Chief Busari Oloyede Adelakun, alias Erobodo, his son, who is now close to Professor this Yoruba leader, Aburo Mida Dani, when they wanted to launch the book on Baba Adelakun, they came to me, the family came to me, and I was made the chairman and a guest speaker at the launch of the book. Alhaji Busari Oloyede Adelakun was a fearless politician. Grassroots, gone. So Chief Bola Ige used Adelakun to penetrate all the old NCNC foothold.
In Ibadan.
By extension, Olubadan.
He was an Ibadan man.
Ibadan man. Eruobodo. The nickname of Eruobodo is the person who wants to enter the stream or river that is at danger.
So he helped Bola Ige to win the 1979 election.
No doubt about that. Because some of the so-called elite members of UPN advised Uncle Bola not to go near Adelakun in cabinet appointment.
Why?
Level of education.
But Bola Ige did not listen.
He didn't so. He made he gave the ministry, local government and chieftaincy matters to Adelakun.
And it would later become Bola Ige's undoing.
Because they had an agreement. The UPN had an agreement unknown to members of the public. Baba Obafemi Awolowo wanted his friend, colleague and ally of Action Group to become governor of Oyo State. Papa Layode.
Good.
He wanted Baba Ajasin to become governor of Old Ondo State. And he wanted Omo Odujo to become governor of Ogun State. But since it is their party and cabinet matters, Uncle Bola now challenged his leader. Bola Ige was calling Awolowo leader. But, you can't be dictatorial in this matter because I want to contest as governor too. So they told Bola Ige, don't worry, there will be a term, there will always be terms after. 79 is not going to be the end of the world. He stood his ground, challenging his former principal. So Awolowo said, well, if that's what you want, put it to the people.
So they went for a primary election.
Ditto Ondo State, but they said, àwọn Ondo ní àwọn ò lè challenge Awolowo ti sọ, they will wait for a second term. Ogun, wọ́n yarí. No. Odujo who had flirted with MPN and right wingers before. No, Bisi Onabanjo. So that's what the stage they went to face the 1983 gubernatorial election.
1979.
1979 election. Thank you.
So
an agreement was reached.
Bola Ige, agreement with who? Adelakun.
Agreement with Obafemi Awolowo, their leader. That Bola Ige will serve just one term. Just one term.
Okay.
Then, Bully or Nelly, Uncle Bola was again reappointed by UPN to run for a second term.
So that agreement was with who?
Awolowo now.
So how did Adelakun come in here?
Adelakun. Papa Awolowo trusted and held Adelakun in high esteem. Funkini, grassroots politics. Adelakun ni champion.
So are you saying the Obafemi Awolowo used Adelakun to unseat Bola Ige?
No, they used Fedeco, the Northerners, Fulani in particular, through their followers, sat down before the election, long before. They said the thing had been prepared in March 1983, that Kosibiti Bola Ige Legbegba.
So Awolowo wanted Bola Ige out. Is that the point you are making?
No. Awolowo didn't want Bola Ige out.
So who was Adelakun working for?
Adelakun was working for himself and the new friends he had made in MPN.
But not for Awolowo.
No, not for Awolowo. I was at the election rally of Chief Awolowo at Makpo. I was there. Physically, not only physically, as inner member of those who prepared the stage, the public, microphone, loudspeaker, public
Address system.
Thank you. I was there. And I went to watch the Makpo rally of the MPN, where Adelaku said, and I'm quoting him now, verbally, pé mo gbọ́ pé Obafemi Awolowo wá sí yín, ó sọ pé ẹ̀rù yín wo ni òbodò, odò tí ó bá ti ṣe kíní kan kẹ́ gbọ́n gbẹ́ dànù.
Meaning?
That Awolowo came to Makpo and said the electorate should not fear Adelakun, alias Erobodo. What is Odo? Odo that can be dredged. So Adelakun now said, tell him, Tori, I know, spies A1B, MPN rally, Makpo, that Odo yen o ma gbe lo.
Awolowo had an agreement with Bola Ige that he would spend one term.
No, the UPN, their party caucus.
Their party caucus. So when Bola Ige decided to run for a second term,
yes,
Awolowo did not raise an eyebrow.
No.
He still supported him.
He was a Democrat. People now say Awolowo dictatorial. No. The man acted beyond politics. Awolowo was always looking for merit.
The program is State Affairs. Chief Lakan Alabi Maye Olubadan of Ibadanland, a press secretary to Chief Bola Ige, is on State Affairs. Bola Ige was a leader of the Progressive School of Politics in Nigeria until his death on the 23rd of December 2001 at the age of 71. Bola Ige was the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Nigeria when he was assassinated in his home in Ibadan. Ige rose to political stardom when he became the Governor of Oyo State from 1979 to 1983 on the platform of Obafemi Awolowo's led Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN. Ige's education policy opened the doors of knowledge to a great number of citizens in search of progress. In 1990, Bola Ige published the book Politics and Politicians of Nigeria, 1940 to 1979. Let me show you a copy of the book. This is Bola Ige's book. Have you read this book? Are you a student of history, politics, and power? Read this book by Bola Ige. If you want a copy, contact Udara Book through the WhatsApp numbers pinned to this broadcast, and you'll get a copy of this book. It's a scarce material. I learned there are plans for the reprinting of the book, and that will be a good news to me, because this book is a classical work of politics and power, written by Bola Ige. People, politics and politicians of Nigeria does not say the last word on politics in Nigeria from 1940 to 1979. No book can ever do. But this book does say such an authentic word about the politics and politicians of the period, including the military actors who took up 13 of the years covered by the book, to make it compulsory reading for all who seek to educate themselves about the political evolution of Nigeria. Classical words written on marble. This is a book you should have. We have just 4 copies left. So contact us to get your copy. Look at this classical work, Chief Lakan Alabi, by Bola Ige.
By the genius.
The genius.
Yeah.
He was a great thinker.
Everything about Bola Ige in public affairs, politics, social were high class.
Tell me about his intelligence.
Uncle Bola's intelligence, little me. When we were in government, we will go for what you can call retreat in SRK. We go Saturday, return to Ibadan on Sundays. And who are the we? Uncle Bola, the Oga, the teacher. Dr. Yemi Farombi, Dr. Adeniran, who since has become a professor. Dr. Atimo, who has since become a professor.
Tunde Adeniran? Is that it?
Yes.
All right.
Tunde Adeniran.
Good.
Yeah. Lakan Alabi, Femi Mapaderun, and anybody considered by Uncle Bola that could lend some knowledge or weight to those retreats. One day I asked him, Your Excellency, sir, please, how do you pack all this knowledge? You are into every topic under the sun. Music, like Dr. Victor Molunloyo too. Music, politics, mention it. High class. And he would just laugh. He would laugh. But I knew that these are special breed. For Uncle Bola to fit into Wole Soyinka's circle, Akedairo's circle, mention it. Muhammad Ali, and he will be pouring knowledge out. Laiwowe. It was a special breed.
What were cabinet meetings like with Bola Ige in charge?
I should not pretend to have attended any of their cabinet meetings at that level.
Okay.
But prayer, and after each meeting, everything was laid down before me. And a few that Uncle Bola allowed access. Because once Uncle Bola noticed the quality in you of any profession or human endeavor in this world, kò síbi tó lè gbégbá o lè escape Bola Ige o. Tó bá ṣá ti rí kíní yẹn pé this is a material.
He appreciated intelligent people.
Oh God, he welcomed it. In fairness to him, Bola Ige ò ní owó tó máa fún ẹ. I can say that. Lakan Alabi is my name. Because our last day in office, September 30, 1983, he now took us to the office, ESCO office. But let us go there and see last time, because we had held a World Press Conference live at ESCO Chambers. So myself, him, Dapo, Femi Mapaderun, to see the office, bye-bye you. But he now said, hey, wait, all of you, we shall return. Return, okay. So I said, sir, I didn't hear you well. He said, we shall return. So when some 4 months, he heard that the new military governor of Oyo State, Lieutenant Colonel Oladapokuola, now a retired major general and lawyer, had appointed me the press secretary. He was then in Kirikiri prison, having been jailed by Buhari 100 years, 80 years and all that. It was when Babangida toppled Buhari, August 27, 1985, that the political prisoners, if they could be so described, were released.
Was he corrupt?
We were paid, okay, but don't let me use we. I, Lakan Alabi, was paid the salaries since I was seconded to Bola Ige from TSOS. I was receiving my own salary at TSOS.
Was he extravagant as governor?
No, it was always to the point. Somebody was dressing safari. Safari in the best Asho Bola Ige as governor.
Was he throwing money around as governor?
Ijesha ni ere. Ijesha are known to be frugal with owo. Uncle Bola. So I said, now we went to the office and he said we will return. So I just looked and laughed. Bola to very return. For me salary to commensurate to press secretary. At the risk of my life, Ibadan man working for you and totally loyal. That's why tí wọ́n ní kọ́ máa gbà mí èmi nìkan ni mi ò padà sí TSOS. People were going home to beg. I refused to go and beg. Àwọn tó bá ní àwọn ò beg kan jáde mo dẹ̀ ti sọ kínní since 1984 I've never been challenged. All those who were deployed, transferred by Olunloyo government and they returned kan tó tọ́pù Olunloyo fúnra wọn kan wá sọ fún mi báwọn ṣe padà sẹ́nu TSOS àbí OYO in particular. Wàá lọ bẹ̀bẹ̀ ní o wàá lọ bẹ̀bẹ̀ but èmi ò lọ o.
So Buhari had no justification of clamping Bola Ige and other UPN governors in prison.
As events and evidence showed later that something else was behind all these sentences.
What was behind it?
Political hatred, hegemony, and all that.
When you say hegemony, whose hegemony?
Because when Buhari came on a visit as Minister of State to Oyo State sometime in October 1984, but naturally, Lakan Alabi, I was involved in the planning and everything. He didn't know the moment when he said, when he saw school children, it can be 2 p.m. Don't jáde school ní ọ̀nà Òkè Ògùn. When he said, is education an industry in this state? When he saw thousands of students in the sun
Going home.
And see what he did as a civilian president to the rest of Nigeria now. You shut some borders, you open the one in your side of the country. Well, don't let us talk about past deeds of some dictators.
That is why we are examining history.
Oh, thank you. Yes, okay.
That's why I looked for Chief Lakan Alabi.
Edmond, thank you for looking for me because we stand on the same frame.
That's why we created the studio.
God will bless this studio because I warn people now. Yesterday I was telling some people that only don't talk ill of the dead. I don't agree with that adage. I don't. Why will you not talk ill of a dead? Why will you not talk of a dead, evil, or wicked person? Because what he or she has done has become history.
Still looking at that period, Bola Ige fell out with his deputy, Sunday Afolabi. What happened?
Thank you. They were close as members of the action group. The late Chief Samuel Sunday SM Sunday Sunday Michael Afolabi was reputed to have physically slapped Premier Samuel Ladoke Akintola and disappeared.
He did?
Reputed.
In the 60s?
Yes. Akintola had gone to campaign in Ire, now in Osun State. And all those who are pro-Awolowo hated Akintola to any level. But SM Afolabi was said to have physically slapped Premier Akintola on the rostrum podium.
He was a young man then.
He was a young man and reputed to be invulnerable. Torí bàbá wọn, bàbá SM Afolabi, nickname wọn ni dá oògùn tí ò jẹ́ nù. Dá oògùn tí ò jẹ́ nù. Mystical powers. How could a young man have gone to the podium? A premier was campaigning. Ó dẹ̀ gba etí ẹ̀.
And Bola Ige chose him as his deputy.
Oh, because of political relevance now. Remember, we are talking of old Oyo State. Ibadan, Oyo, Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́, Ṣakí, ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ̀kan, boundary wa pẹ̀lú bóyá Benin Republic. The old Western region, you needed friends and not enemies.
And he got Afolabi as a friend.
Close ally.
Who later became an enemy.
Political differences, and remember I said one want to agree on one tenure, 4-year tenure.
So Afolabi wanted to run as governor.
Afolabi was ready to take over from Bola Ige, like Raufu Jafojo was ready in Lagos, like
Omobodiowo.
Omobodiowo challenged Awolowo. It was when they now told him, rántí o, Ajasin, Ilé Ajasin not to form action group o. So you don't go near them o. Awolowo and Ajasin, don't go near them.
So for Afolabi, he wanted to govern.
Yeah.
It was a struggle for power.
Yes. To take over.
And at some point, they had to go and meet Obasanjo, their friend, to settle their quarrel.
Yoruba will say, renu.
Meaning?
Obasanjo's friendship, now that you are referring to and other people refer to, friendship between Obasanjo, Bola Ige, and Afolabi, renu.
Meaning?
You saw what happened now? You saw what happened? That Adelako had to go to Awolowo. That, sir, your two favorite men, Bola Ige and Afolabi, are eating from the pot of Obasanjo. And what Awolowo replied is public knowledge. It's been thrown to the world, social media and everywhere, that Awolowo now called them to a meeting and told the two of them, Ige and Afolabi, I'm afraid you are befriending a lion.
Was Awolowo right?
Look at events now. Look at events. Some people are saying, kí ni Bola Ige náà lọ gba ministerial lọ́dọ̀ Ọbásanjọ́ fún?
At that point, Bola Ige was almost suspended from the UPN.
Because there was what you can call envy. Tí mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn náà ni, envy.
Envy?
Yes.
From who?
From the side of some people who were seeing Bola Ige as they were not comfortable with Bola Ige's clout with Obafemi Awolowo, Lateef Jakande's clout with Obafemi Awolowo. They thought they should be a step or two steps closer to Awolowo than Bola Ige and Lateef Jakande.
Do you have names?
They are now in their 90s. Look at state affairs, as you have described, is to dig into the past.
Yes.
In my promo of this afternoon interview, I said, listen to the never heard before interview. That's how I describe your program. Never heard before. What people, at least I know that in the last time since we started this program and henceforth, people are going to hear what they've never heard before.
So who were those who were jealous of Bola Ige?
They were the one trying to shut the door against Awolowo. Whereas Awolowo, Sage, S-A-G-E, some people are gifted with the third eye. Muhammad Ali was one of them. Muhammad Ali was my hero. And he continues to be, even though dead. He said he went to study hypnosis and mind reading. So that each time he went for the thing they called weighing, he said people thought he was yapping for nothing. He said he was using psychology and all other things he had learned in the hypnosis and clinical class to terrify the opponent.
So Awolowo understand human nature. He understood human nature.
Beyond the common level, beyond the common. Why was Awolowo Awolowo, is he picking now or predicting events that eventually happened
to Bola Ige?
No, not only to Bola Ige. When the 1983 election was rigged, presidential, so UPN took their post-election congress to Abeokuta, the former Gateway Hotel. Awolowo now told them, the aggrieved members, that please don't cause trouble when you get to your various states and homes. Take it that it has come, election has come and gone, and we know we have grievances. I am not going to court this time around. You know, he went to court 79.
Yeah.
I'm not going to court. God is going to be the judge. So what I'm going to implore you to do now is to fast from December 29 30, 31 and see what God will do. Exactly December 31, Buhari and Idiagbon signed.
He had the premonition.
Awolowo was always getting it right because he was denying himself some pleasures, particularly bodily pleasures. Some people cut away from the alliance of UPN and Azikwe's MPP because they said the man who he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't womanize, and he said he has seen the tire of a woman. Mama. And Awolowo said he had not seen the tie of Yawa in the last 30 years. Oh, musiga. Oh, tatete. Oh, bobirin. Ìyàwó rẹ̀ tó tún ní olóòrí tán rẹ̀.
He was spiritual.
Àló ti àwọn kan ti wò pé eléyìí ti pọ̀ jù jọ. Àwọn ò lè bá ọkùnrin ṣiṣẹ́ o, kì í jẹun.
It was that intense?
It was, and Zeke joked once pé Obafemi, since we started this meeting, we have gone on break twice. You have never stood up. Are you a human being? Kì í jẹun.
Was he human?
Kò ní tọ̀. He was a human being born 1909 and passed on 1987. Human being ni. But Arunashola, when Awolowo was released from prison by Gowon, August 1967, the record that Arunashola did, pé Awolowo dé, owó dé, ó káàbọ̀, and Ogunde, Ogunde is another ally of Awolowo. And Ogunde too was a sage. So he now said, Alujonu na Awolowo, Arunashola, Alujonu, a jinn.
If you want to feel the political thoughts of Obafemi Awolowo, there is a book you should read. It's about democracy. It's about history, politics, and power. The title of the book is Adventures in Power, Book 2, The Travails of Democracy and the Rule of Law, by Obafemi Awolowo. Can you see the book? Read this book, and you would meet some of the predictions that Chief Lakan Alabi is talking about. In this work,
all correct,
Awolowo looked at the political future of Nigeria. The Travails of Democracy and the Rule of Law is the second book under the general title Adventures in Power by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. It is the story of the violence and the fury displayed towards representative democracy and the rule of law, and the dehumanizing brutalization that characterized the early post-independent years in Nigeria. The travails of democracy and the rule of law will make history come alive for you. Whether you were personally present in Nigeria when these historic events took place, or you have been longing to know what actually happened, you will have the uncanny feeling as you read this book that you were there. Get this book on udarabooks.com, UDARA, Udara, udarabooks.com. You can also get this book through the WhatsApp numbers pinned to this post. Do not forget, Udara Books is State Affairs, and State Affairs is Udara Books. We created the studio to have a political class for analysis of history. And as you read history, you should pick up some books. The reason we have created the store for you, so that you don't say, Edmond, where are those books you read? Where do we get them from? We have now created the platform for you to get those books that I read. We have more than 500 titles on politics, history, and power on the store. Go on the store, search for books, both foreign and local, and you would understand where we are coming from. It is about Bola Ige on this edition of State Affairs. And this is the first in the series that will come on Bola Ige. We need to take lessons away from the life of the man. I learned there were flaws in his political decisions. We would get to that point. Chief Lakan Alabi, a press secretary to Bola Ige, is my guest on this edition of State Affairs.
Thank you, Edmond.
Yes.
From your acts, past, present, and by the grace of God, future, you have always been empirical. Because in this country, if you don't quote dates, time, and places, some people just say, but now you are challenging them. As you have, look, on January 25, 2014, the Punch, the same good old Punch that is 50 years old today, granted me an interview, 3 pages. Saturday, January 25, 2014, pages 24 to 25. And the question, the interviewer asked me, hey, excuse me, with your background, your paternal grandmother as woman leader of NCNC under Adelabu, as a reporter, and as a former press secretary to Chief Bola Ige, and 3 military successors of Bola Ige, why are you not in politics? And I answered. And he used that answer to title the interview, that Bola Ige's assassination killed my interest in politics.
Yes. I have a copy of this book. You give me a copy.
Thank you.
Yes.
You want me to come to a field where they are holding gun like this to their backs? Amy. You know.
But we need to fix the country.
Which country?
Nigeria.
I don't believe in Nigeria.
You don't believe in Nigeria?
No. Look, Ebenezer Obey, with due respect, Ebenezer Obey has been my friend since 1974, when I was the social editor of Sunday Sketch. With due respect to Baba Obey. 1986. Nigeria ishi madun, odami loju, adun. 2023, 1986, 37 years ago, Abi.
As we draw closer to the end of the show,
yes,
Sunday Afolabi died.
He was my great uncle. May so continue to rest in peace.
He was a minister of Obasanjo, right?
Federal Minister of Telecommunications, or something to do with power or something.
He died under Obasanjo's government. Bola Ige died under Obasanjo's government.
Chief Sunday, what is the M for now? M, is it Michael? Chief S.M. Afolabi now said in an interview, we have invited you. He was referring to his friend, Bola Ige. We have invited you to come and chop. Bola Ige fired back. I don't chop. I don't want to chop. I want to work and contribute to Nigeria development. Where are the two of them now? The invitee chop. I know one chop. Where are they?
Should Bola Ige have joined the Obasanjo government?
Yeah, he went, with due respect to him, Oga. He went. Thomas Okwe, innocent mind. I'm qualified. He ran to be president. Shebi, they came here in Ibadan to choose between him and Olufala, his party.
And he lost.
So, now his friend is asking him to come and contribute to the development of Nigeria. He went. Innocent mind.
Some would say he went
He didn't
in order to spite his opponents in the AD.
Who are the opponents? That is why some of us are cautious when it comes to public service and all that.
Okay.
Wọ́n ní tí o bá wá ń ṣe nǹkan míì ló máa ń jẹ́ pé you see people insulting their seniors if only they are not met on a platform called politics.
But you know,
Bola Ige.
he was the deputy leader of Afenifere.
Yeah.
So Bola Ige felt that naturally since Adesoya, the leader of Afenifere, was not interested in the presidency, that he should fall on him. So there was no need, according to some analysts, for a primary in the AD. But some of his opponents in the AD insisted that there must be a primary, like he insisted in 1979 when the leader gave the order, and he insisted he must run. So what is good for the past is good for that time.
Thank you. Emotional intelligence is far, far superior to academic, social, whatever yardstick you want to use. Because emotional intelligence is the ability to think back, forward, and make a almost near target decision. If Chief Bola Ige had known, he would not have asked them to go to that primary.
If he had known.
Yeah, if he had known.
Why did you say that?
Because people were holding the knives, long knives, under their robes. But
they were waiting for him.
They waited and they got it, the answer. So when he received the news abroad, he traveled abroad, calculating that it will be a glorious return.
A foregone conclusion. He took the election for granted. Why?
I am waiting for the supernatural people, those who invent GSM, laptop, all these inventions. I am praying for them, that God will give them the wisdom to invent a machine that will be able to read people's mind, so that we can see it on the forehead of every individual, all those hidden in the heart.
That would be the biggest invention.
Oh, that will be the biggest, so that you can run away from some people.
But Bola Ige ought to have seen it coming.
Whatever we
there was already a battle in the Afenifere at that time.
But that's why God said after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was not going to create prophets, anything of miracle again, but he, God, will be making miracles, so that people will say, but you say you are not going to be creating miracles. E.g., miracles. Muhammad Ali in boxing, miracle. Pele, soccer. Elvis Presley, music. Babalegba, Yusuf Olatunji, Sakara, and other miracles. So God will continue to make miracles after now and forever.
So he did not take that defeat lightly. He wanted to fight back.
He was a human. Please let us remember, all of these people, our fathers, our great leaders that have gone and are still living, they are human beings. That is why God said he will hide the end of every individual from him or her. So you won't be able to say, can you come back? The thing to bad decree must happen, so that people will know and ask, like you're asking me now. So Bola Ige didn't foresee that outcome. But as a human being, what again do you want? With due respect, Olufalaye, that was a creation of Babangida. Babangida, in his ambition to transmute to civilian president, and he was looking for the best brains. Baba Ransom Kuti, Bolaji Akinyemi, Kalu, the best brains. Olufalaye, ex-GCI, the best brains. Now people look at it, the fact that you are a brain, engineering fit, fit, you are not fit for Nigerian politics. So, because they don't choose the best. What decides Nigerian position politically is money.
There is a book here telling it as it is. It is the autobiography of Ayo Adebanjo. Though Chief Lakan Alabi has not mentioned names, Ayo Adebanjo is one of the so-called opponents of Bola Ige. In this book, Baba Adebanjo, who is the acting leader of Afenifere, tells his own side of the story. Let me read from page 172. Read with me. He says the AD governors of the Southwest knew that if the party and Afenifere were separated, they would control the party in their respective states. That was their objective. He, Bola Ige, used human weakness to get the support of the governors. It was in the course of attending those meetings that all the state governors who were hitherto taking instructions from the leadership of Afenifere now grew wings. Ayo Adebanjo in the book says they no longer wanted to take instructions. They too knew that the center could no longer hold. He continues on page 172. Ige encouraged them to sideline the leadership of Afenifere and take over the control of the party in their respective states. That was the beginning of the weakening of Afenifere. After that incident, and in the process of weakening and killing of Afenifere, Ige sponsored the Yoruba Council of Elders. You heard that?
Yeah, because until there is, and God forbid, until there is a misfortune to a person, before you will know your real friends. It's a Yoruba proverb. But when we are looking at ourselves now, particularly those who are very good at eye service, pretense, they cry more than the bereaved. And people will take it, and when you hear what they say or do behind you, that's why I say I'm praying for the inventors to please give us a machine that can let people hear or read people's mind.
Let's listen to Chief Ayo Adebanjo. I visited his home in Ijebu. I wanted to know what happened between them and Bola Ige, because with no of the Ijebu 3 or Ijebu 4, as some would say, Ayo Adebanjo, Paolaniwon Ajayi, Abraham Adesanya, they were the opponents of Bola Ige in Afenifere before the primary elections of 1999 that was held in Ibadan at D. Rovans. After Bola Ige did not win, the fight continued. Ayo Adebanjo, acting leader of Afenifere, explains.
When he lost, how did he feel?
If we don't, listen, even Ayo fast on me is still alive. He announced he was a member of the electoral college. He announced the result. You see, the pressure till today, and I hope many people will be listening now. Many people will be surprised the way I'm talking about that I was not a member of the electoral college because I was regarded as the great opponent of Bola Ige.
Were you his opponent?
Never. There is a misconception.
Where did that come from?
You shouldn't ask me. It is those who have that. We are good friends. When we were in Ibadan, I stay in his house whenever I come to a meeting there.
Did he believe you were one of those who walked against him?
He believes so, and I tell you why. Before the election, we had a meeting in Kaduna. We had a meeting of the AG. In fact, we stayed in his wife's house. There was a judge of the Court of Appeal. And he asked us that he was going to contest election. I asked myself, and then he said that we should support him. And I told him, I can't support you. I am the chairman of the party. will it be fair for me to support the candidate against the other when I'm the person to which the report will be brought to? Our Lord didn't teach us that way. So he's doing that. Not that I was supposed to. I only said that on principle.
But would you have loved that he emerged as the presidential candidate?
Qualified. He's qualified. I only leave it to the democracy people to do, the body to elect. But for me to give an advance, I mean, would you say that would be fair?
Chief Adebanjo, what happened during that election?
I wouldn't know. You should ask those who are there.
Did you ask them? Because Bola Ige was sure he was going to win.
Look.
So what happened? How did he lose that election? Because Yorubaland has not recovered from the crisis that emanated from that election.
It just depends upon how you look at it. You see, the young men and his admirers have their view. Those of us who are in the show, we know what happened.
What happened?
What happened was that there's a misconception, in my view, on the part of Bola Ige. And I said, those whom he said would vote for him that electoral college, how did he start him become dying or something? He should have asked himself. He told some people that, well, I'm going to win. I know one of the people I knew he told was Ambassador Fafora. He told me. And Papa Laonde was asking us that we should support. I said, well, we can only support him if he says he believes that the party exists and take permission. Then Laonde says to come and tell us that he has been appointed.
So did he do that?
He came later on after I said he has been appointed. And I said, I didn't like my feelings. If Obasanjo wanted to form a coalition or what they call it at that time, I will not choose Bola Ige to him at that cabinet.
You made that statement?
Oh yes, they know. I tell you, you see, that's why I say when people talk, they don't know what the members of the party knew. Because I tell you, when people ask me, what right has Obasanjo to come and tell another party this is the man must be? Even if the all parties want to form, it is that party we give a candidate. So all I'm saying is, my own reasoning now is what I want people to criticize, not what people should be.
Who would you have nominated? Who would you have nominated?
Oh, I will nominate the lesser person because I consider the cabinet of Obasanjo at that time as third class.
So Bola Ige was too big for that cabinet?
Too big for that.
So you feel he belittled himself?
Yeah, one, not only that, he was going to lend credibility to Obasanjo's government. I said, if that cabinet is equipment there, those are that is your class. I don't want to embarrass anybody. Who are the people formed? You know who formed the cabinet of Obasanjo at that time. I did the caliber of Bola Ige. And my own view is that the way we were as at that time, if we hold ourselves strong like that, Obasanjo's government won't last 6 months.
So do you blame Bola?
I blame Bola Ige for weakening our stand to support an opponent.
And AD never recovered.
Of course.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
So that is Ayo Adebanjo telling his own story. And that interview was conducted before he released this book. In fact, that was when he was writing this book. At some point, he said, Edmond, just hold on. My book is coming out. I'm going to explain my own side of the story. So read this book, Telling It As It Is, by Ayo Adebanjo. It is his autobiography. You would find this book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. So get your copy. Chief Alabi, before we round off,
yes,
he made a point there.
Yeah.
That Bola Ige was too big for Obasanjo's cabinet. They had no business going there. What do you think?
Oh, what a good external reason. External.
Why external?
He said Bola Ige was too big. So why was Bola Ige going to an inferior position? External. But I don't know if do they still make Scotch eggs?
Yes.
Egg wrapped with some That statement was loaded. Now, on analysis, everybody will say, Baba Adebanjo was right. Oh, he was telling Bola Ige, even to support Bola Ige, you are too superior for where you are going. But it is the receiver of any message, particularly body communication, that should be able to analyze deeper than what is being written or said publicly.
So do you think Bola Ige should not have joined the Obasanjo government?
From what had happened when Obasanjo was the commander of the garrison, Ibadan garrison, organization of the Nigerian army, they had experiences. Because Bola Ige was commissioner for agriculture under the regime of late Major General Robert Adeyinka Adebayo. So you should have known who Obasanjo, Olusegun Obasanjo, Urentoje. Like Professor Wole Soyinka immediately did in his book. Professor Soyinka said they had a rendezvous. An agreement was reached between him and Obasanjo that please, the rendezvous we want to hold, don't come armed. Don't arm. So he said they went. But Baba Soyinka now, Nobel laureate, great actor. He said he was waiting for a moment when the beetle being driven by Obasanjo will make a gradient tall that he could use an opportunity to be like falling in the car, which he did. And what did he do? He used that opportunity to make sure he nudged Obasanjo's torso, and he could feel the hard iron. And he said, Ṣẹ́gun, Ogbebon law. Emotional intelligence, everybody needs it. For you to be able to decipher the mannerism of an admonition, the praise. Bola Ige was too superior to Obasanjo cabinet. Who wouldn't want to be a minister? Who? That you go on record. Former minister. Kiniko. Who? Everybody wants to ride the horse. Go sopa koseyin.
Do you think it was a state murder? The assassination of Bola Ige?
If Nigeria, since Sunday, December 23, 2001, we are now in 2023. If Nigeria, 22 years, has not given us the answer, who is me? 73-year-old man, 73. Do I have the government apparatus? Not even local government level, state, federal. Let them answer.
Chief Lakan Alabi.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to this class.
Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for educating us, telling us what you know of Chief Bola Ige.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Let me use a quote, which is coded. As I'm talking to you here now, I have been searching my mind since Uncle Bola uttered that word to me. He just said, Lakan, and I said, sir. He said, whatever happens. I am still trying to find deep answer to the remark and why he made that remark to me.
When did he make the remark to you?
That was 19. I was in Udua. 2000.
At that time, he was already a minister.
He was a minister. Yes, 2000. Yes, he was killed 2001.
Yeah.
2000.
So he made the statement that whatever happened.
He just said we were discussing. Because I enjoyed those moments when he would say, come. Come and learn. But you just say, come, and you must be patient. Just be patient. Because Bola Ige was a man of etiquette. Protocol. Etiquette. Yoruba etiquette.
So it was like what would say in the street, or die and die.
Well, whatever happens.
So it's like he knew he was going into the jungle.
Edmond, you are a sage. I don't know what age anybody becomes a sage. Because with this platform, state affairs of these radio, television channels, and I've told people, Edmond is also a great broadcaster, analyst, particularly researcher. You see, look at the evidence on your table. Empirical. So all those things you quote and you read it out from the pages actually, then elegan. You bá dẹ̀ sọ pé orí elegan ló fọ́, because some people will still take nekene. But look at the evidence you are providing now. Look at the sources, everything. So state affairs, non-partisan, is a great platform, an opportunity for those who want to support truth, and justice. I congratulate you again on this platform, and I pray that by the grace of God, as I said when I entered this structure, I said by the grace of God, you will invite me, I will attend the opening ceremony of Edmond Obilo Communication Plaza.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please keep it up.
Thank you. You like the studio?
MK Abiola, may so rest in peace. Well, have we mentioned Abiola in this program today?
No, we've not.
Thank God I could have come here for a program of 3 hours and without mentioning Abiola. Abiola, I saw for the first time in 1981 at the Olubadan Event Center, the first Alhaji Dauda Shoroye Adegbenro Memorial Lecture. He came late, but he sat near me. Divine design. And we became, he gave me his private phone number and said I should see him on Sunday, the following. And since then, and he will say, immediately, my friend from Ibadan. And I will say, excuse me, Igimujino, sorry, how can I be your friend? And he mentor and mentee. But later, people now tell me, whoa, mo, onlo montori, tonpe loreun. June 12 is here. Another evidence. So, one day we went, he came for a program at WNT, at Iliakede, Utabashonu. Typically, he has sent advance notice to me through the then district manager of Concord Press, Western District. His in-law, Omolaja Shuaga, nephew of Alaja Atinuke Abiola Ni Shuaga. So when we got to Utabashonu, and he came out of his car, living witness is Alihaji Sukazim. So he came out, and of course, I want to put one line up the management of BCOS. Abiola said, BBC go, the building, Ile Akede.
Yes.
So, Chiyon Kolobe. It's no more the structure, not the size or acre occupied. Look at you. Small is beautiful. Look, you are now transmitting to the whole world. Technology is shrinking.
Yes.
It's not the matter of say I like the studio. I like the production.
Thank you. So this book is for you. Add it to your library, telling it as it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I don't have a copy, but now I have.
Yes. Read his own story. I've been discussing with Chief Lakan Alabi Maye Olubadan of Ibadanland. He is also a cultural ambassador to the National Museum in Ife. Lakan Alabi has spent 50 years as a journalist. He was press secretary to 4 governors in Oyo State, 3 military and 1 civilian.
4 only. You didn't put only.
Only. And in the course of the program, we have recommended some books to you. This one, Politics, People, Politics, and Politicians of Nigeria, 1940 to 1979. Though I didn't read from here, but this is the autobiography of Segun Oshoba, a former governor of Ogun State.
My Oga.
He spoke a lot about Bola Ige in this book.
Yeah.
So if you get a copy of this book, you would read a lot about Bola Ige. But remember, I said this is the first in the series on Bola Ige. There are many other books coming, and I will review Segun Oshoba's book. I also mentioned Adventures in Power, Book 2, The Traverse of Democracy and the Rule of Law, a book written by Obafemi Awolowo.
Sorry to interrupt you. In his allocutors
Yeah.
at the treasonable felony trial in Lagos 1963, Awolowo said, I will not die in prison.
He did not die in prison.
To support our previous statement about him seeing tomorrow.
And he said sending him to prison will bring darkness to Nigeria's democracy. And we saw what happened in 1965, Operation Wet Year. We saw the military coup and the counter coup and the civil war. I started by reading from this book. This is the book we read today. We read about 5 pages of the book before I brought in Chief Lakan Alabi, the autobiography of Chief BC Akonde, who later became the deputy to Bola Ige. So he told the story here. The book is entitled My Participation. You'll get all these books on udarabooks.com. There's one book written by Bola Ige I didn't tell you about, The Kaduna Boy. Kaduna Boy. Kaduna Boy. The next series I'm going to review this book. You need to read this book by Bola Ige, Kaduna Boy.
His youthful years.
Yes. Wow. Wednesday is another time. Join us at 2 p.m. West African time on Wednesday. And remember, we run the program Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 2 p.m. Then on Saturday, you join me on Splash FM, 8 to 11 a.m. I am Edmondo Bilo. I worked with Ayo, Ashimolo, Samuel, Kalu, and Miriam Giwa to bring you this edition of State Affairs. Thank you for joining us.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live